Well, good morning. It's Monday morning, and it's roughly 9:15 in the morning. By the way, I use these time marks to calculate labor hours, and also to show how long it can take to do a particular job. You know, when it takes 3 hours to do a 5-minute job, it just seems weird. But with the video showing the steps that it takes and unusual things we run into, it makes it a lot more understandable. So the time hacks are for billing use and for showing complexity of individual parts of the overall job. So anyway, I'm back on the 72650, and yesterday I got the sprocket and chain on and the access door closed up. And today I'm going to load the primary with the clutch plates, and primary drive, and try to close it up. So that's the plan. See how it goes. Let's see, it's 11:15, give or take. We can call that 11:15. And down here, I've got the primary pretty much loaded. I'm going to put the clutch plates in now and close it up in just a couple of minutes. So, progress is being made. Got these clutch plates. These are these shims, not shims, I use these as feeler gauges to make sure I've got 10 thousandths clearance all the way around the alternator. It's just some aluminum that I found years ago. So at least 10 thousandths all the way around. It's a tight 10, but it is a 10. So I'm going to put the clutch together now and continue working. All right, let's talk about adjusting the primary chain. This primary chain is too loose. Normally you check it through this hole with your finger, and you just reach down there and say, well, that's not too bad, but I'd like it a little bit tighter. So they make a special tool that fits in this adjustment hole. We'll talk more about this adjustment hole. But right now, the special tool is very much like this. I had one, I gave it to Kevin, so I made another. Okay, and this is just a bolt ground down to a screwdriver point and the head ground down to 7/16. And I put it in this hole here. Just put it in the hole there, put it in the hole there, get it in there, and it fits into a screwdriver slot right there on this part, which is the adjuster spring loop that tightens the belt by changing this arc. So the 7/16 socket, I can just get in there like that, and watch this arc. See it changing? That's 1/2 a turn. Okay, and that tightened it some, which is, not bad. I'm going to go one more half turn and see what I think. There, it just snapped into place. Okay, I'm going to call that good. I like that. That's a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 inch, but I don't want it too tight because I don't want to put a lot of pressure on the bearings. This is good. It'll be a nice smooth shift. All right, so we take the tool out. So you can make your own tool. It's just a bolt that's been ground down to a screwdriver point. Where am I? Here we go. Like so. And I grounded the back end down to 7/16. So you can do that yourself. Or you can get online and order one, which is a whole lot easier. Okay, so that's the tool for adjusting. Now, we're going to talk about something else now. This design down here right here is probably the worst design in the history of man. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay, stand by. This is really, really important. Okay, this is really, 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 really important. This is the plug that goes into the hole that we just put the tool into. This closes up this access hole down here. Okay, just screw it right in there. Now watch where it stops. Let's get it in there. Come on, go on in there, little pluggy wuggy wuggy. It tries to stop right about there. We get a wrench and see if I can tighten it a little bit. What it doesn't do is go in all the way. Try doing this one-handed while holding a camera sometime. This is so much fun. If it would turn by hand, I'd be happy as a clam. If I had somebody to hold this camera, I'd be happy as a clam. Anyway, if you try to put this thing together with a thin washer, it won't go. So you'll keep trying a little harder and a little harder and a little harder. And they've modified the later models so it will go down all the way. All right, I retract everything I just said. This later model will allow you to put this bolt all the way down. The earlier models wouldn't. The earlier models required a really thick fiber washer, and if you didn't have the fiber washer, you'd crack this right off. That whole area would crack right off the engine. So it's still a warning for the guys with older models. All right, it's 12:30, 12:40, and I just wasted a lot of time, which I will not charge for. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and publish that last video that I took showing that this cap nut, stopper nut, sealing nut, if you put it into an earlier model bike, apparently they caught on. I'll bet they replaced a lot of engines because this part was cracked off by people putting this in too tightly and causing it to crack. And this is part of the engine, not the primary. That's the engine. So that got to be expensive. So they finally peeled this off, planed it off flat, and made it deep enough so that this could go in and sit flat with a thin washer, rather than requiring that really thick, eighth of an inch thick washer. I'm in the habit of double checking that. And what I do is I'll take 3 coppers and put them in there. That'll work. Let me zoom. Like that. That'll work pretty good. Or 3 fibers and put them in there, and that'll work pretty good too. So the name of the game is, on the earlier model bikes, when you put this back into the chain adjustment hole, make sure that you've got thick washers here if required. In other words, don't put one on, tighten it down, see it stop, and then keep on tightening. because you'll crack the engine case, and that gets to be really, really expensive. So I'm going to go ahead and publish all of this, even though what I was warning you about, it does not apply to this particular bike. Well, it's about 120 or so. The primer is put together, everything adjusted. I've no oil. I'll let it sit overnight and put oil in it tomorrow. I like to let the gasket sealer coagulate, and I'll put oil in it tomorrow. In the meantime, right now, I'm going to adjust the rear chain and align the rear wheel, and then I'll adjust the brake, and that'll pretty much do it. Okay, I think I already said the primer is all sealed up. Let it dry overnight. Going to do the rear wheel. Now I've already taken the brass punch, put it here, and hit it with Jake the 3-pound sledge to drive this axle all the way forward. The adjusters are completely out, as you can see. And then I just all the way forward. See, just go forward. Now at that point, we're going to measure and see if the two sides are equal distance and straight. We're going to use this tool, which is simply a wire with a bend on it, with a pointer that's movable. And I'm going to put this in the tripod now and show you how I use this to align the rear wheel. So what you want to do is go from a known hard point. In this case, this is a nice known hard point. You could also go up here and catch the bracket. You could go up here and catch a bolt up there, or you could even go all the way up to the axle or to the swing arm nut and measure from there. But this is nice and convenient. It's right there, and I'm just going to hang it over that, move this out, and drop it right into the center of the rear axle. Okay, that's my measurement for this side. Now I'm going to go over to the other side and make sure that I get the same measurement. Let's see if I can bring you along. Right from there, and just flip this over, and right now it's almost exactly in there. So if I tighten this down just a little bit to pull that back, that'll be great. Let's see, that hasn't made contact yet. Okay, there. Did it move any? Yeah, it did. I pulled it back a little. So now I'm gonna use Jake, miraculous hammer. And now I'm just about dead nuts in. I'm dead center right there. So with this one right here, I'm right dead center. Go back to the other side. Reconfirm. and it's still dead center also. So at this point, I'm going to just put this here up against it, and I'm just going to snug this down. Put this over here to hold the other end of the axle. Alright, so now we got a little tension on it. Let's double check everything. Still good? All right, it moved a little. Okay, now it's good. I'm going to continue snugging and checking and a checking and a snugging until I feel comfortable that I can tighten the axle down all the way. All right, let's check this side one more time. Still right into the center hole. And right into the center hole. I'm feeling good. I'm going to go ahead and tighten it down now. Okay, one more final check. Still centered here. Still centered here. All right, at that point, I can tighten down the anti-torque nut, which is probably a 3/4. Let's see if it is. Yep. And at this point, the adjusters, which really aren't doing anything, can be tightened down just so that they're snug. And will hold the adjustment. It doesn't really make the adjustment, but it will hold the adjustment. All right, all aligned. Now, at this point, I got to adjust this all the way in. And I hate that job. So I'll show you something cool. You take an old tube, like this, cut a notch in the end of it, have your good buddy weld an old socket onto the end of it, and use it to tighten down that brake adjuster. That's nice. Okay, good. Now, how many of you are saying, gee, if it takes that much adjustment, the brake shoes must be worn? Everybody raise your hand who's thinking that. You're probably right. But the bike runs, the bike stops, and that's out of scope for this effort. So, we now have new chain, and that's beautiful. Can you see this? Let me see if you can see this, because it's got beautiful slack. Let's see, can you see down there? I'm going to take it out. Let's go under here and see if we can see the chain. Okay. That's good. That's perfect slack. That's no problem at all. Up here, if I do it up here. Okay. Let's zoom out a little bit. Or zoom, yeah, I guess out. Yeah. That feels good. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna let it sit overnight, put some oil in the primary and do a test ride tomorrow. I think at 2 o'clock, let's call it roughly 2 o'clock. I'll do a little cleanup and we're done for the day. All right, I just gotta put all this stuff away.